Hi, this is Krisstina Wise, your Millionaire Mentor Coach, and it's Millionaire Mentor Week Holiday Edition. Many of you showed up to my webinar today, and I have to admit, I loved teaching today. The reason why I loved what I shared is because I shared with you how I do my business planning, how I design my life, the 3 specific systems I use as a multimillionaire. I didn't start here. This is what I use today that I wanted to share with you, and I was so excited to teach those things to you. With that said, there were some comments from some of you that said, well, you know what, that's great, Krisstina, but I came because I wanted a real estate business planning course or education or hour or whatever. So I'm going to give that to you. If that's why you came, I think if you've been following me for a while, you know my commitment's always to over-deliver. I'm so concerned about giving you value. Usually I give too much even, but that's who I am. I want you to take what I teach, what I learned, what I've applied, what I've built, and apply it to your life. Use what I've figured out, taken decades to figure out, to make your life better, to make your life great. And that's who I am, and that's what I do. So that's what today's webinar was designed to do. If you felt that you didn't get the business planning piece when it comes to real estate, I hope what you learned was the reason why I didn't go into detail about that was because that's not the answer. Sure, you need to have the business planning section, but I can teach you that in about 3 minutes. What I talked about today and covered was about a year's worth of material squeezed into an hour, and I actually break it up into the 2-day course that I invited you to. But if you came for no other reason for your real estate business planning segment, I'd like to share that with you now. And I'm just going to go up to the board behind me. But go ahead and time, and let's time how long it takes for me to share this with you, and for you to hopefully absorb it and be very easy for you to put your own real estate numbers into this. So this is all it takes for real estate business planning in the most simplified way. It starts with one number. That's a C, GCI. In real estate, that's called gross commission income. So what I was trying to share again in the webinar is that what most of us do, and the reason why our business planning fails, is because if we earned $50,000 last year, we pull out of thin air, well, you know what, I want to double my income. That sounds really great. So this year I'm going to do $100,000. That's the scope of our business planning. And then we just hope and pray that by doing probably the exact thing that is produced $50,000 is going to now produce $100,000, and that's the reason why that doesn't work. So when it comes to planning our real estate business for the year, this is how to break it down. Not just pull a number out of thin air, but we might start with the number that sounds really good, is usually what we do, is since let's use this number. The reason why this doesn't work is because we haven't grounded in reality, which was the life planning that I was talking about earlier. But if we choose that we're just going to pull this number out of thin air, this is what we want to do next. My GCI is going to be $100,000, my gross commission income. That's called revenue, is from a business terminology, or income from just for our personal finances. Real estate, we call it gross commission income. So then we want to break that number down into 2 different components. We want to look at what's the number of units closed that I have to close between January and December 31, January 1 and December 31. How many units do I need to close? That's the first thing. The second thing is, what's the volume? So if and I'm making up numbers here. I have no idea if this math is going to work. It won't, because I'm making it up. But let's just say the units closed were 24, and that volume is $4 million. So that's what we need to start with, is we need to know, we're just pulling this number out of thin air. We're assuming that 24 units will produce $4 million worth of volume, which will produce the $100,000, okay? So that's it. Now here's the next step. So the business planning part, now that we have this, we want to break this down some more. So now what we want to do is like, okay, if I have to close these units, the question to you is, does every contract that I write close? No. In real estate, at least it's never happened to me, and it's never happened to anyone I know, that 100% of all the contracts they wrote in a given year actually closed. So then you want to break that down to contracts written. Because guess what? You're going to have to write more contracts than you close in order to hit that number, because you don't close everything. So that's the next thing you have to do is you have to come up with all these numbers, and you need to know the contracts written. From there, where do the written contracts come from? Well, we write contracts when we do two things. We take a listing or we put a buyer in our car. So listing agreement from a seller, meaning we're under contract them, or we actually have a buyer agreement and we're driving people around in our car and showing property. So that's agreements. Number of agreements. So there's listing agreements, and there's buyer rep. And we want to break that up because listing agreements are different than buyer agreements, as we know, and so it's good to look at both of those so that we can plan, and this is how we all sort of plan backwards. From there, the reason why is because it goes backwards, because this number is going to be greater than this number. Why? Because does every listing close that we take? No. Does every go under contract? No. Does every buyer we put in our car go under contract? No. So we naturally have to write more agreements. We have to have more listing agreements and more buyer agreements than the contracts that we've written, and we have to write more contracts of what's actually going to close. So we need to forecast all of these numbers. So that's the buyer. From there, the agreements come from appointments. So then we have to know this number, and this has to be greater. Each one has to be greater because we have to go on so many listing appointments, because not every listing appointment turns into a listing agreement. So naturally we have to go on more listing appointments. Every buyer appointment we have doesn't turn into a buyer rep that we put in our car. So working backwards, we have to have more appointments, and we need to know how many appointments we need to go on in the given year, then break that down, of course, on a month-to-month basis. And then finally, where do the appointments come from? The appointments come from this word leads, our favorite word in real estate, leads. And so then we all know that we have to generate lots and lots and lots of these from all different places, however we generate our leads. And we have to have a lead generation strategy and a marketing strategy, which is a different part. If you're in the real estate business, that's the business you have to get good at. What the real estate business is, when we choose to be in this business and to perform at a high level at this business, we have to become experts at generating leads. And then those leads, we work backwards. The better we are at that, and then the better we get at generating qualified leads, it turns into more appointments. The better we get at working with people and being able to convert those appointments into listing appointments and buyer's appointments. As we craft this skill, the better we get at our listing appointments and buyer appointments, especially with our digital listing presentation that we teach at Paperless Agent, then that turns into more listing presentations and buyers in our car, which turns into more contracts, and we get really good at that, at selling the house, marketing the house, closing our buyers. And then, some of this is just out of our control, and at the end of the day, we're hitting our numbers. So that's the real estate business planning system. Can do it on paper. It's really that simple. It gets better when you use a tool, and you have an online tool so you can calculate, automate your projected at the beginning of the year compared to your actuals month by month by month. That's it. This is when I was in real estate as a sales agent. This was the exact planning system I use. This is the exact planning system I use and I coach all of my agents on. But what I want to circle back around to where the webinar content was today is, if you're pulling this number out of thin air and it's not grounded in anything and it's just income at the end of the day, and you don't even have a plan for this because it doesn't fit into your life plan, and if you know how to even earn this income but you don't have a money system for how to turn this in, the goal of this, what's the goal of that $100,000 when you make it? Well, the goal is to turn that 100,000 into millions. But if you don't have a money plan, you don't have a system, if you don't know how money works, you're just going to work your ass off for the rest of your life and maybe make this amount more or less and get really sick and tired and out of energy and exhausted. Because why? Because this system isn't enough. And if you do this only, and if you do this first before the others, It's flawed. It can't work. It will keep you boxed in. It will keep you kind of contained. My job is to be a millionaire mentor coach. I want to teach you outside of this. Any real estate agent can do this. You don't have to be a top performer. Just put in a couple numbers or whatever. But if you want to turn this into millions, I can teach you how to do that. But you have to learn these other systems. Number one, like I talked about, you have to know, what is my life system? What are my 7 F words? What do I care about? How much money's enough? Because when you quantify this, when you know what your why is, when you know what your destination is, when you know what your personal goals are, when you know why I exist and what I'm on this planet to achieve and what I want my life to look like, you design that first, and then you know, well, how much does it cost for me to live that life that I want? Then you know what to put in this box. Then you know how to work backwards. And then you can ask your second question, is this even a possibility, or do I need to go readjust some of that for 2016 right now? Maybe I'll get closer to that next year. But do you see that this standalone can't work? But people will teach you this all day long, and these other missing pieces, you wonder why you're on that hamster wheel. It's because you're missing part of the story. And our industry traps us here because we don't learn the whole story. So how I went out of being an overworked, exhausted Lone Ranger real estate agent, actually top performing, I made hundreds of thousands of dollars when I was performing that, but I worked 24/7. I didn't have a family life. My kids barely knew me. I was exhausted. I was tired. I was stressed out. My clients owned me. I had no leverage. I worked harder because the only answer to make more of this was to work longer hours, and I was trapped. And I'm just saying, there's just such a simple solution to break out of the trap, and just like that life is over. It's the life of effortless effectiveness, like I talked about on the webinar. And it starts here. You have to know what your 7 F words are. And that's what this holiday edition of Millionaire Mentor Week is. I'm teaching you how to think like a millionaire so that you can become one. I'm teaching you the actions, the simple actions you can take to immediately start turning your life over and moving it into the direction you want, than maybe the direction it's going. These 7 F words, that's what this week is about. So join me on Facebook, like my page. Don't even like it if you don't want to. Just go to my Facebook business page and you'll get all of my 7 Fs. I'm giving you my life system. Do this first. Then you have to have another system. There's another really important system that before this that kind of fits in here, but it's what I call my health system. It's about how to be healthy. The balance, so many of people have asked me, like, how do I have balance in my life? It's not here. There's no balance in this plan. You want millions, you want a leveraged life, you want a freedom life, you want an effortless effectiveness life. The answer's here, and the answer's here. It's not here. This is what common sense tells us. This is what everybody else is telling us. Just go here, that focus on this number, and I'm saying it's not that. That's the trap. The freedom outside of the trap, how to get out of the trap, is 7 F words. Design our life. Set our goals here, then quantify those, then break it backwards here, and know how to be healthy, emotionally healthy, physically healthy, relationally healthy. And guess what? It sounds sort of a theoretical or airy-fairy or just big. It's so simple. Again, there's a system for this. There's a roadmap. There's something to follow. But you have to understand, there's certain biological systems, the way our bodies are organized as these animals, that we have to be taken care of a certain way. Otherwise we break down and we get sick or we get tired. And once we know a few simple things and learn this, again, we can reverse. Even if we're not sick, if we're just tired, exhausted, overwhelmed, worked out, this will solve that problem. And then when you learn this, it will solve the rest of it. And that's the secret to being wealthy and healthy. And you don't want one or the other. I've had neither, or I've had health in my life and I didn't have wealth and I was broke, and life really sucked when I had tax liens and credit card debt and single mom and couldn't pay the light bill. I was young and healthy, but boy, my other side of not being able to feed my kids really sucked. And I've actually had some money wealth, and then 2013, as you know, I nearly died. And what I learned there is I could have all the money wealth in the world, but guess what? Money's not happiness. wealth is happiness. And it's the secret is in the combination of money, wealth. You have to have it for freedom. You have to know how to build it. You have to have your money working for you versus it pulling you and sucking you under. Very easy to learn, but you have to learn it. And you have to have wealth, health wealth, and you have to learn kind of what that is too, so that you can be vibrant and alive and healthy. And that's where this whole wealthy brand came from. And my passion today is to teach. I've taught people how to do top performance real estate after I was one. I've taught real estate agents how to move their business from analog to digital when we moved into this world of technology, knowing that we were all going to be irrelevant and replaced if we couldn't learn how to use certain tools and technologies and convert our business after I did it. And now it's the next iteration, the evolution, as I can teach you that through all the stuff through Paperless Agent. We can teach you how to use digital technology. But now I've graduated into, I want to teach life. I want to teach wealth. Not wealth like yachts. I mean, maybe that's for some, but I mean wealth in the sense of happiness and having enough money that's quantified to fund the life that we want, that we care about, that we deserve, so that we can be these very positive people on this planet that can make a difference. Because the happier that we are, the more energy that we have, the more money that we have, the more we can gift our own health and our own wealth onto others in ripple effect. And imagine if we were all in that cycle, how amazing the world would be. And it all starts with each one of us. So, to close, I hope you found this helpful. If that's what you came for and that's all you came for, I hope this helped. Really, it's as simple as that. But please leave knowing it's a teeny tiny part of the overall framework of what's required to live a true, wealthy, healthy life, to build that, to design your life to be the life you want versus maybe the one you have right now. And the good news is once you learn these, it's so simple to turn life around. But this isn't it. All right. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions with this framework or anything else I'm teaching. All my 7F words in this life system is on Facebook this week, so it's all there free for you. Just watch the videos. We have live Q&As. I'll be on Periscope. I'm giving myself really to you, so take advantage. No asks in return. All right. Have a good day.